welcome to TV Plus Talk, where we discuss all things Apple TV Plus. I'm Charlotte Henry. He's Chuck Joyner. Hello.
Hello, Charlotte. Good to see you, as always.
A delight to see you. We've got a fun show today, actually. It's kind of like our last show, but actually builds on what we discussed. It's almost like we plan this stuff and actually, work towards it, Chuck. Almost. It's almost professional, but don't tell anyone.
Well, and there's also what Apple TV Plus actually does in the middle that can make it or break any plans we do have. So, yeah, but I like the idea that this time it worked.
This time it kind of worked because last episode you recommended to me a thriller on TV Plus called Prime Target, and we were having a discussion that it kind of fell into the category of Apple TV Plus shows that are very good and well produced, but then kind of just disappear from the public conscious. And so, dedicated as I am, I've started watching it. I've watched the first episode. I'm into it. Let's start with the headline. I'm into it. Like, I'm definitely going to be finishing the series, going to keep going. I like it. My only but is I thought the opening bits, there's some quite cliched bits, isn't there? This is not a particular spoiler because the opening scene in the Arabic market and the explosion, which you can see coming a mile, the sort of, they put every Cambridge University cliche in there that they can, the tortured central soul, all of that stuff. I think there was quite a lot of cliche in there, but I still enjoyed watching it and I intend to keep watching it. Does that seem fair?
That seems fair. I find it interesting because I would not have made those judgments, and I wonder if it's the fact that I'm an American viewer, you're a UK viewer, so I don't recognize maybe the what did you say, the Cambridge bits as much or as obvious.
Again, this is not a spoiler because the central characters at Cambridge University, but like the first time we see him and the first time we see Cambridge University, he's in a boat. I mean, come on.
Okay. I guess, I just feel from my perspective, it just set the mood, but I'm not quite as aware of Cambridge as I'm not sure what the right phrase is, Charlotte. So and no denigration here to Cambridge at all. That's not, but it just seems, it's a Cambridge, and that's sort of what they do there. That's fine. So.
Right. And of course, that is what you're getting at is exactly the reason why they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Because for, obviously many of the people watching TV Plus will be in America. So to get that kind of Cambridge vibe to people that don't live here, obviously, they went straight to like the boats and then into the sort of halls of residence and all the things we think about Cambridge University. And it's like, anyway, I thought it was good. It is good. I definitely want to finish it. And I'm sort of into the premise. I put in my newsletter, it's nerds and action. So obviously that is going to work for me as a two things coming together as a concept, like nerds and action TV. I'm in. But yeah, there was the first scene. Did you not know what was going to happen within 3 seconds?
No, it's interesting that you say that because I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And certainly, and what I can't remember is just how much they showed you in the first episode. And I'm staying very clear away from spoilers. But
let's not do spoilers because I want to watch it if nothing else.
Yeah, did you tell me? Did it become evident as to why that was important to the storyline in the very first episode or not? I don't recall.
That's a fair point. Sort of. We're getting hints of it in the first episode. You don't know everything. Okay. I don't know everything. We just get hints about it. I'm not even talking about that particularly. I'm talking about the fact that how many American action series start in an Arabic market and then something explodes. Like, it happens a lot.
Fair point.
The first people you see are a mum and a kid. Again, this is no spoilers. You see it within 10 seconds. That to me felt very obvious and unoriginal, but I think your point that it's leading to something else is well made.
Yeah, that and maybe that's why it didn't strike me as somewhat trite, because it does play a central role in what happens eventually.
Sure.
So
and that's
we'll stop.
That's
We'll stop
absolutely
there.
fair enough.
Yeah.
And I can see that it's getting towards that. But yeah. And then, as I say, the sort of first scene of Cambridge is, of course, on the water in a boat with light blue bows, oars. Oh goodness, I've offended everyone. Light blue oars. Yes, they're the light blues.
Yeah. But I'm delighted to hear that. First of all, that it's hooked you, and so we will get to talk about it in depth later. But I also, it sort of validates some of my feeling that there are so many of these shows that if you just give them, an episode, maybe two, that they will hook you too. Even if you don't think they're necessarily in your area, give it a shot.
There's a couple more things that I want to get at with you on the back of this. First of all, can we talk about the production quality?
Sure.
I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? The way it's put together.
Absolutely, and that continues through the series, and that's not a spoiler either. But they set the bar for quality, and they continue to deliver.
I mean, the production values of it are so high, and I'm not even talking about elaborate scenes. I'm talking about in someone's house in Cambridge, in the halls of residence or whatever in Cambridge, in the offices. Like, it is impeccably shot and put together. I thought it was stunning.
And maybe that's why I didn't pick up on it exactly the way you did, because it did feel so much like you are right there. And I have no idea whether it was, I don't know if we shot on location or not, but it definitely gives you the feeling of, okay, this is what it's like there. And it's what you would expect it to be like there, or at least what has become popularized as being at Cambridge.
It's a very good point about being shot on location. And I would be interested to know that, because you'll not be shocked to know that I did not attend Cambridge University. And so I don't have the sort of in-depth knowledge of what it looks like and so on. But obviously some bits are filmed to give you enough that it feels like you're there. I don't know if every scene was shot in there. Obviously there are enough of the quads and the thing. Oh yeah, the other cliches, we had the thing with the grass, which is a real thing at both Oxford and Cambridge. That is a very real thing. You're not allowed to walk on the grass. We learned very early on that the central character's mother is no longer there. And we got that. That was my other cliche, the sort of, I assume, father going to him, she'd be so proud of you. Like, how many series do we see that in? That kind of thing. I'm being picky, though, because it is a good series. I can see the show's going to get good, and I am in.
Yeah, and again, it's interesting to hear your perspective on it, because I think you are more of a critical watcher, not as in being harsh, but just in picking up some of those things. I'm a little bit more there for the story, and and
I'm a pain in the butt. Yeah.
No, I didn't say that. Now, but that okay, certain things have to be set up in any series to to then continue through. And if they're smart, if the producers and the directors and the actors are smart, they load a lot of that stuff up in front so that you there's payoff later.
I tell you what I think it is, actually. I think so much of it is smart and is clearly going to be really smart, that the little things that clanged really clanged for me. Does that make sense? Yeah,
that's an interesting point. And I've got to think about that, given that you haven't seen the rest of the series.
Yeah, and I am looking forward to finding out what happens in the relationships and our central character and so on. Yeah, it's good. I'm pleased you recommended it and flagged it up, because I think I'm going to enjoy it as it goes on. The other thing,
I tell you what, before you do, I just want to say that you're about the fourth person who has had this reaction, that has contacted me and said, I skipped over this, I didn't know about it, or I overlooked it, and now I'm into it. And so it validates my thinking on what makes, at least for part of the audience, a really good series. So I appreciate everyone who has contacted me and let me know.
Yeah, and also it validates every discussion we've had on this show. Please go back and listen to them so we don't have to repeat ourselves on how bad Apple is at marketing some of these shows that it clearly puts a lot of money into, and as we say, impeccably produced. This is a stunningly shot show, and it could easily have disappeared. The other point I wanted to raise with you is about TV Plus shows set in England. We've had Slow Horses, which has been a huge hit, is brilliant. Again, brilliantly shot and put together. Huge fan of it. And now Prime Target. To me, the UK-based shows have a very distinct vibe to them. What do you think to that? Am I looking too much into it? Am I taking it too personally?
No, I don't think you're taking it personally. I might throw out Ted Lasso is also UK based, and the vibe is very different.
Because the central character is American.
Well, it's also a comedy, and so
and it's a comedy, unlike Prime Target and Slow Horses. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't. I mean, I guess the only vibe I get is that yes, it's set in the UK, and so there are UK things that you obviously don't have if it's set in New York or Los Angeles. But I other than the fact that they're just really high quality shows and the cinematography is great. I mean, everything about both of those series that we're talking about are fantastic. So I do not know if they come from the same studio.
I think they tend to have a grittier feel to them when they're when Apple TV Plus has these shows from the UK. I think. Think of the vibe of Slow Horses in particular. Think of the opening. It's quite those production quality. It's quite dark bits of Prime Target, and which is accurate because that's the university is kind of quite dark and cloistered and old. The UK shows seem to have that vibe. I get the impression. Whereas I would agree. I'm trying to think of what an American show would be that's like that. They're all quite bright. Shrinking. Think of Shrinking. That's a very bright, often dark topics, but it's a bright series.
That's very true. And I do think that boy, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I feel like that American television right now, with some notable exceptions, seems to be a little bit you used the word bright. I'll use the word light. There's a little bit too much humor. There's a little bit too much sarcasm for my taste. And I do tend to gravitate toward things like Slow Horses and like Prime Target that maybe take themselves a little more seriously. Does that make sense?
Very interesting. Yeah, it does make sense. I'm just always fascinated. I also think it's slightly American influence of how people in the US, particularly in California and Hollywood, kind of think of us in the UK, which, I'm looking out the window. It's nice and bright today. Hopefully it will continue in that vein. But, we do occasionally get some sun and not grey days, but it's quite funny. It really strikes me when I watch shows like Slow Horses and now Prime Target, the way they are set up.
Well, and I'm sure you have certain thoughts about how America is portrayed, in Los Angeles and Hollywood. And listen, I think in some ways both are deserved, because they live up to it. They live up to those.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, I think we better stop there. We're going to get too many emails.
Always sunny in London.
Yes.
I've never moaned to you about being cold or wet or grey. It's never happened, Chuck. It's always beautiful and bright here.
Absolutely. Everything is wonderful in the UK. So what else have you been up to?
I feel like we have a commitment to honesty to our audience. With that in mind, now this is a story, as you know, that is kind of right in I was going to say wheelhouse, but that's too outrageous when you know what we're coming to discuss, which is Apple's apparent interest in the rights to show Formula One on TV Plus. Now, I write a lot about sports rights and streaming. It's a huge part of the book that I have coming out in October. There's a whole bit on sports and streaming. It's a huge deal. But Apple has generally done a couple of things with sports that we've touched on before. They've made anything they've made it global. So it's MLS Season Pass. It has the MLS for 10 years around the world. If you want to watch that football tournament, soccer tournament, anywhere you are, you have to watch it through Apple TV Plus and buy the extra thing. Friday Night Baseball, which you don't have to pay extra for, that is also global. My understanding is that the F1 is not going to be global. It's just going to be in the US, I think. So that's another shift from Apple, isn't it?
And I don't know if this would be Apple dictated or whether it's the ruling bodies of that sport or I've confess I am woefully ignorant of how Formula One is organized. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's not my particular vibe either. Of all the sports I watched, Formula One is quite down the list.
Yeah, I don't know if like in the US with our football teams, American football, if there are the different clubs, I would think in Formula One there would be the racing teams would probably have some say over some things as to who races in which race. So I'm way outside my depth here.
There's 2 drivers per race, isn't it? From each team.
Yeah, but I would think that there's Ferrari team. They're the different teams that I don't know how that's organized in relation to the overall sport. I think it's the same
teams with the same 2 drivers in every race, assuming they're fit and well.
Yeah, but so this may be something that was offered to Apple and Apple took it. I have to think it's not a coincidence after F1 the movie because they had to have a lot of cooperation from Formula One, and as a result. Maybe that's how the interest started, and this is pure speculation, but it would seem to make a lot of sense. And the sport itself has to be really pleased with the success of F1 the movie because it's drawn a great deal of attention to them.
Yeah, in the same way, it has to be pleased with the success of Drive to Survive on Netflix. I mean, I won't get too didactic, but basically, the last time I ever watched Formula One was. It was in the midst of the pandemic, so it might be 2020 or end of 2020, maybe whatever it was. The end of the season in which there was the bust up between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, and Lewis Hamilton basically felt he'd been cheated out of the title by one decision. And there was a conspiracy theory at the time, and I stress it was only a conspiracy theory, that this kind of crazy ending to the controversial ending to the season had been done knowing that people would want to watch Drive to Survive on the back of it. So my point being, these shows, these adjacent bits of content, if you like, have attracted people to the sport. You're absolutely right that they must be pleased with Formula One. As I understand it, basically, with these rights, Apple has just blown ESPN out the water. Which tells us something about the direction of where things are going as well. I think ESPN basically didn't bother to bid once it knew Apple wanted, and Apple is now the sole bidder for these rights.
I'm not sure if I were involved in the F1 negotiations from the F1 side, I'm not sure that I would be very happy about ESPN just pulling up stakes and leaving. I mean,
sure.
in some
for quite a few reasons.
Yeah, I mean, if I slant it one way, it's you weren't interested enough in us, and as soon as we got somebody else bidding, you just surrendered, or did you because you thought that we're the big dog in town, and so you're like a spoiled little child, and leaving. You can take it a lot of different ways, but at the end of the day, I feel like ESPN. And I'm sure this is going to insult some people. I feel like ESPN though is losing its grip a little bit on the being the place for sports because
listen, we could do a whole separate podcast with me on sports streaming and sports output, and there was a huge thing that was a big American story, wasn't there, about TNT losing rights to the basketball, to the NBA. There's all sorts of things. But just on this specific deal, because I think your point about ESPN is kind of well made anyway, but I think it's fascinating that this is what Apple wanted to get into. And it can't have been a coincidence about the timing. You and I both know these decisions are not made overnight. You don't throw millions of pounds on the table to bid for a global sport because you suddenly realize the film's doing well. That's not how this works. The film didn't pop up overnight. That's not how this works. But do I believe they suddenly saw the possibility of these two things colliding? I think you have to say yes. We talked last time out about the success of the film. It's only got more successful since we spoke. There's hundreds of millions of dollars being generated at the box office by this film. Apple has decided to get into this game. I find that really fascinating. I do think the two are running in parallel with each other.
I agree. I think the last number I saw officially announced was global box office of over 540 million, which not
well,
too
it was
shabby.
300 million. It was 300 million a month, sort of a month before we recorded this show in early July. So, yeah.
And if I remember or am remembering correctly, they're going to re-release it back into the IMAX theaters sometime in August.
Oh, interesting.
So that could push the numbers up even more. Bottom line, I think you're right. I think that this was maybe a relationship that started to be established when they were working the movie, and both sides maybe came to see each other as being able to do things mutually beneficial. But I'm with you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, of course, you made the film. You can always not put the bid in, even if you've planned to, if it doesn't work. But if you have the plan to put the bid in, you can do those things, in parallel to each other, as I say. Go on, you were saying.
Yeah. Well, as you sort of went where I was going, thinking that this would seem like a natural thing, that if one hits, then you follow it up with if the drama hits, you follow it up with the real thing, because now suddenly people are interested.
Do we think Apple's going to do more sport then? I always try and nudge you back to this subject because it's one I'm obsessed with. But, I mean, it's getting more and more interested. Like F1, that is a big sport to be getting involved in.
Think about the discussions we had when they were courting in the U.S. soccer and on your side of the pond, football, and how we weren't sure about that, and how there were so many possibilities, but was it really a good fit? I sort of think what we're seeing here with Apple is what they do on almost everything is that they play that long game, and it just this week, and I'm not going to take us down a rabbit hole, I promise. But Tim Cook, in a discussion about AI, has said that Apple is seldom first, and I feel like that might be
a good excuse.
Well,
the mess up.
you can call it an excuse, or you can call it a philosophy, that they stick to.
I think in that instance, it is a beautiful bit of spin by Tim Cook, but the essence of what you're saying is 100% true. They weren't the first company to make an MP3 player. They weren't the first company to make a smartphone. They weren't the first company to make PCs. They just did it better each time.
They weren't the first company to make a tablet.
But they just did it better.
They did it better. And so I feel like now those are product categories. Here we're talking about a category of content for their TV streaming service. But so they've had some success with football/soccer. They've had some success now, or it appears that's not fair. We will see what kind of success they have with F1. They have had some success with baseball in the way they've approached it. So is this just more of the Apple modus operandi that, we're just going to nibble away at it. We're going to play with it. We're going to, make the deals where we can get them and get people interested in our streaming platform as a place to deliver sports.
I mean, it did take a swing at baseball quite early, which I was surprised about at the time. Just on the MLS, it is back. It's in. There's games from Sunday, the 10th of August again. And it has now become relevant to my life, Chuck. I've always dismissed it, haven't I, and refused to buy the season pass and not really engaged. But now my favourite footballer is heading to Los Angeles FC. And I think I might have to watch him because I miss him already.
So how do you feel about that, Charlotte? And that's a serious question.
How do I feel about what aspect of it? How do I feel about Son Heung-min leaving Spurs? Heartbroken, but it's the right time. How do I feel about him going to LA? I think it's a great decision. Lovely life in Los Angeles. There's a huge Korean community there, which will be great. I don't know if I can bring myself to watch the MLS though.
Well, that was the question I was really asking will this cause you, because you have a favorite player who has gone there now, will that cause you to pay more attention to it as opposed to just saying,
as a serious answer, yeah. No, the serious answer is yes. No, but I don't, yeah, I'll be interested to see how it plays out. I'll be able to see, because there's some games I'm sure I've been able to see for free. So I would be interested in that, yes. I don't know if I'll splash out for a season pass. If nothing else, the time zone changes don't really suit. But yeah, I think it is the type of move that would make me interested. It is, of course, Lionel Messi, the biggest superstar in football. They brought him to the MLS because, and I'm sure it attracted people to watch the that league. Son Heung-min will be the same with Korea in North London and beyond. In North London as well, where the team supporters of Tottenham like me, worship him. So that's going to be really, really interesting to watch as a development for both, from our perspective, from an Apple perspective. See whether we suddenly see a surge of subscriptions in Seoul or something will be very interesting to see. I can't overstate how much of a superstar Heung-min Son is in Korea. When I go to games in London, you just see a huge, vast swathes of Korean fans coming to the games, which is wonderful. I'm a bit sad. I hope they continue. But it's going to be very significant, I think, for the league in that respect as well. Never mind me begrudgingly finally buying a subscription.
But Charlotte, I have to warn you now, he's going to LA, so it's going to kind of be light and bright and all that. So just be prepared.
Lovely. Yeah, well, I think that's part of the reason he is going to LA from North London. I think that's quite a good reason to make the move, if nothing else. Yeah. Do you want to go to New England? No, I'm all right. I'll go to Hollywood.
So when are you going to make the move to LA?
No, I don't think I could do it. It's a long way from home, Chuck.
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
I know that someone reports on entertainment should at least spend some time there, but that is a long way. That is a long journey.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll compromise on New York. We'll be in the same time zone then, you and I.
Yeah, that would make scheduling some of these recordings easier. No question about that.
Well, there you go. For you, I'll do it. Talking of scheduling, there's a little bit coming out. You are interested in Chief of War, I believe.
I am.
Starring Jason Momoa.
I am. The first 2 episodes have dropped, and I have not watched either one yet because I have so many things. But you know what, Charlotte? I'm going to divert a little bit because this is the point I wanted to make, and I'm curious to see if you follow it at all. I'm finding more and more of my TV viewing time taken up by Apple TV. And I think
you
Apple
often
TV Plus.
say this.
Well, look, Chief of War is out now. Slow Horses is coming out next. Foundation is dropping episodes as we speak. Invasion Season 3 is coming out. And I know there are at least 2 or 3 other shows in the wings that have caught my attention just enough to say, I'll give an episode or 2 a try.
Oh, there is no doubt that there is a lot to watch on that platform that is appealing to me. Absolutely. You and I don't particularly like the same shows, but absolutely, I agree with you. I'm just on the Apple TV Plus PR page actually, and we finally have Ted Lasso season 4 branded as coming soon. So you've seen the scenes, I'm sure, so have I, of them shooting season 4.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we are going to have to dedicate quite a bit of time to that, Chuck.
Well, and I, maybe as we wrap up the conversation here, I think it's just important for folks to take a good hard look at it and realize the value you're getting out of Apple TV Plus. And if it sounds like I'm promoting it, okay, I am promoting it. Neither Charlotte or I get any kickback. Unfortunately, they haven't called us yet.
Yeah, no, they're welcome to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're
not too proud.
Yeah, we'll put our numbers in the show notes for you. But it just when I compare that to the amount of value I'm seeing out of some other streaming services, as measured by how many shows that I watch from those or am interested and I know are coming out, Apple TV Plus keeps rising to the top, if not topping everybody else.
Well, I think they do stuff that appeals to you because they've really made a kind of strong play in the sci-fi space, which I know works for you. So definitely. I think that's probably why it's pushing towards you. I should also add, not that just over a month after we're recording this, we've got the morning show season 4 coming out, which also is another big hit. I got quite fed up with it. Season 2 I did not like at all, as you know. The COVID season.
Right.
It was season 2 or season 3, the COVID season? Season 2, I believe.
I think it was season 2.
So season 3 was a bit better if you accept they're just making fun of Elon Musk. So I'm very intrigued to see what they do in season 4. I'll certainly be watching that. That's the 17th of September. So yeah, once again, a steady flow of stuff coming out over the summer. So Chief of War was out just a few days ago, as was at the other end of the scale, Stillwater season 4, the children's cartoon, which is rather sweet. Platonic season 2 is out today, the day we're recording this. A show you and I have discussed, highlighted, was coming just because of its sort of historical significance, I can put it that way, is Snoopy Presents a Summer Musical. That's on the 15th of August, which is beautifully timed for me, kind of chilling out, not being at work, recovering from going to a music festival. It's really not, to chill out with some Snoopy, some peanuts. I think that's really nice.
I just had this image of you, recovering from the metal music festival you're going to, sitting there in your pajamas with your feet up watching Snoopy. I mean, it fits.
That's an entirely accurate image.
It fits.
That's 100% what's happening.
Okay, Okay. Maybe we can do a live stream. Maybe, we should do a live stream of you watching Snoopy. I like that.
No one needs that. We could do a live stream of this episode. Just finishing on Chief of War, because I do have to ask you this, because you mentioned both Jason Momoa and heavy metal. Have you seen the images of him at the final ever Black Sabbath concert? Rest in peace, Ozzy. In
the mosh pit, yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. That's a fan. Beautiful. That is a fan.
It's just fantastic work. Just fantastic work all round. Yeah. Well, before we go on a musical diversion, where can people find you talking all things Apple?
You can find me at macvoices.com. That's where we're getting back around to doing a few more developer interviews, as well as covering the Apple topics of the moment. And maybe there'll be a few other surprises coming. Where can folks find you, Charlotte?
So head over to theedition.net for blog posts, podcasts, live blogs, and of course newsletter, which if you sign up, I will love you very much for the paid version, especially, which is, it's a mere £50 a month. I send out 2 full newsletters each week. So that's all over at theedition.net. And I think for £50 a year, you get quite a lot of value, all things at the crossover of culture, media, and sport. We're going to watch TV because we've got a lot to catch up on, and we'll see you next time then.
But Charlotte, before we go,
what have I done?
Nope. Give us an update on the book, because you mentioned it in passing a minute ago.
The book is done. I've finished it. I'm under strict instructions not to write anymore, edit anymore, breathe anywhere near the manuscript. It is done. It is available on Amazon, all other places where you can buy book. It's called Streaming Wars. You'll get your copy October the 3rd in the UK, October 23rd, I think, in the US.
Great. Thank you. Because I'm interested in seeing what you've put together this time. So
yeah, it's there, it's done, and I hope people read it and enjoy it.
And we will be back after Charlotte watches Snoopy, and maybe give her a little extra time off to recover from that too.
See you then.